Over the weekend, it was a loss to Man United at Newcastle by 1-0, leaving them at 24 points in the 7th position of the Premier League table. And Chelsea went ahead to beat Brighton by 3-2 at the Stamford Bridge. In there for you, getting or taking their tally to 19 points. That is Chelsea for you. And they also went ahead, obviously, do the needful and really get themselves into the 10th position, and they're having 19 points. Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys, and where you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Smash the like button, comment and share. If you're totally watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, we are here to obviously bring you what we call the match preview of Man United versus Chelsea. We are hosting Chelsea at the Old Trafford Stadium. And I think last season when Chelsea came in through, they, let me check, Manchester United, I think it's one of the games that really late to the end of our season, and I think we beat Chelsea at Old Trafford, not so? Last season we played at Chelsea, we drew 1-1. You remember that late Casemiro header? You remember that header very well. And when they came to Old Trafford, we beat them by 4-0. It was Casemiro in the 6th minute, then Anton Martial in the 51st minute, Bruno Fernandes took a penalty in the 73rd minute, and Marcus Rashford scored in the 78th minute. That is Manchester United for you, beating Chelsea at Old Trafford. So the last time they visited Old Trafford, they are really vulnerable, and we went ahead to beat them. But this time round, they come back at Manchester United with a little bit of a strengthened squad and a little bit of some molar, you know, as they've gone ahead to obviously beat Brighton. But remember, they lost at Newcastle 4-1. If I tell you to remember that very well. But Man United is really having lots of problems, and the problems are brought up by the board. The manager wanted some other players to come in through, and he obviously found himself in a situation of really being forced in a situation of obviously playing these players. So when you look at the team that Erik ten Hag is having in his second season, it's almost the same. He's having players that are not even overweighing those that he found in here. If you look at the game of Newcastle, only Onana, Rasmus Hojlund, Anthony, who else? I think only 3 players that he signed took part, and Amrabat, 4 players, you know. Bissaka, not signed by him, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Dalot, Scott McTominay, Anton Martial, Marcus Rashford, you know, 7 players that were on that field of play were players that Erik ten Hag never really brought in, and they're trying to compare him with managers that have gone ahead to obviously reconstruct their squads with purely their players they've gone ahead to obviously get in. So, as it stands, let's go to the players that we expect to miss this game. For Man United, Mason Mount is really one of those that returned to first team training, but we don't know there's going to be fit to play against his former side, that is Chelsea. Then Tyrell Malacia got a knee setback, and he might obviously be out for another 1 or 2 months. Lisandro Martinez is really out. Casemiro is having a thigh injury. Christian Eriksen is having an injury. Amad Diallo is having an injury. John Evans is having a thigh injury, and Jadon Sancho remains in exile as Erik ten Hag is ready to proceed without him. When you look at Chelsea, they are welcoming back Rich James and Marc Cucurella, who served Premier League bans, and they're obviously going to be available. And I think Malo Gusto is having a tendon injury. Christopher Nkunku is having an injury. Romeo Lavia is having an ankle injury. Wesley Fofana is having an injury. Canary Chukwumeka, an injury. Trevor Chalobah is having a thigh injury, and Ben Chilwell is also out. So Man United is going to face Chelsea, but a more strong Chelsea, because if at all having Caicedo in that midfield and Enzo Fernandez, it's really becoming huge and very strong. But they're not going to be having their captain, who captained them on Saturday, I think on Sunday, that is yesterday, that is Conor Gallagher, who went ahead to get a red card, meaning that the manager will have to improvise on who is going to play into that central attacking midfield role. They have a boy known as Madsen. I love the boy, but I don't know why they are not obviously playing him. And it's all about him saying no to a contract of Chelsea because he believes that he should run his contract down and then get first team football elsewhere. Now, Pochettino and Erik ten Hag, they once met into the Champions League when Pochettino was still at Tottenham Hotspur in 2019 at the London Stadium. Ten Hag beat Pochettino by 1-0. And when Pochettino went to the Ajax Stadium, he beat Erik ten Hag by 3-2, but Erik ten Hag was leading by 2-0, and it was, I think, around the 75th minute that Tottenham started firing goals, and Lucas Moura went ahead to score the winner that put Pochettino into the final of the Champions League, and Liverpool went ahead to beat them by, I think, 2-0 in the final, and Liverpool lifted that trophy of the Champions League. Now, let's go to the predicted starting 11 of Man United because we need to see some heads roll. If the heads don't roll, then Erik ten Hag has no one to blame, because if players are not running enough and they're not putting up the right message to you, then they shouldn't be starting these games of Manchester United. The system of Erik ten Hag is a 4-2-3-1. That's well known to all of you. And we go to the starting 11 of Man United. Obviously, for the goalkeeper, it's none other than Andre Onana. No doubt about that. Having gone ahead to have a very bad game against the side of Galatasaray, he really came in through and obviously put in a very good performance against Newcastle. And this is another huge game where he's obviously going to be facing the likes of Nicolas Jackson, Mokalo, Modric, and very many others. And it's really one of those that he needs to obviously put in a shift that we all are really urging in for. The right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, obviously will come in through, and he'll be tussling it out with Mokalo Modric, because Mokalo Modric is going to be played as the left attacking midfielder for the side of Chelsea, and I think Bissaka will obviously close him down, will properly close him down. The left back, I think Luke Shaw is going to get back into his left back position at Old Trafford, because you saw to it that when they brought on Sergio Reguilon, we had a very good flowing line. So at Old Trafford, because you're having 76,000 fans in there for you, all 70,000 fans, because the 6,000 might go to Chelsea, you obviously have to really put in the shift that is really well required for you to see to it that your fans are really pushing the team, and you would love to see to it that Luke Shaw plays as the left back for the side of Manchester United. Now in the central defense, I think Harry Maguire keeps his position. That is it, because he's really playing well nowadays, and I think he deserves to start. And I think Lindelof gets into the starting 11 of Man United again, having not played any minute in the game of Newcastle, so that gives him a chance to come in through and obviously put in the well-required shift as the player of Manchester United. So that is my back line, and I think Dalot will obviously be rested into that game, and he will be preparing for the game, I think, of Bournemouth. Not so. I think Manchester United is after Chelsea we are going to be playing Bournemouth at Old Trafford, meaning that he might be brought into that game as Bissaka will be really rested for the game of Bayern Munich. We are going to play, that is next Tuesday. So that is it coming in from the back line. Now we go to the central midfield. This is where we believe heads must roll. I really want to see a double pivot of Amrabat. You saw to it that when he came in through, he played very well, and Kobe Menu. That's the double pivot I want to see. And I want to see that double pivot. And if Erik ten Hag insists on Scott McTominay into that double pivot alongside Kobe Menu or Amrabat, I'm not going to be really okay with that. I'm not going to be okay with that, because we are having a player who cannot obviously do the duties of the position that is being played in, but because it obviously runs or makes late runs into the final third of the opponent, we play him, meaning that the primary role of him playing as a CDM or a number 8 dies out. And how can you play a player like him against Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez? I'm not willing to see us losing a midfield battle, yet we're having two players that can obviously come in through and really put in a well-desired shift. That is Kobe Menu and Amrabat. Those are the two players I really want to see in the double pivot of Manchester United. For Bruno Fernandes, I would obviously want to see him play into the central attacking midfield position, but I would love to see him maintain his positional sense, especially into the central attacking midfield area. I want him to be there. I don't want to see him really move to the right, move to the left, yet the positional sense is supposed to be him playing centrally. Because the moment you shift to the side where Rashford is supposed to be or Garnacho, that means you are leaving a porous midfield. So we want to see our three midfielders into the central axis of the pitch and let the let the forwards or the wingers track back. Now, after that, on the right attacking the midfield, I'll go with Anthony. That is it. I'll go with Anthony, and I'll drop Marcus Rashford from that position, because Marcus Rashford is that kind of player that has shown us that his body language doesn't want to play for Man United now. So I think it's better Ten Hag got him on the bench. If there is a player that Erik Ten Hag should bench, it's supposed to be Marcus Rashford. That is it, because he has shown us that he cannot put in the well-desired shift for the club of Man United. You saw to eat that on several occasions. He couldn't really track back, So we want to see him on the bench. Then on the left attacking side of the midfield, it's supposed to be Alejandro Garnacho, but he needs to improve on the way he tracks back. Remember, he gives Kylian Trippier a lot of space to obviously put in that cross or that back post cross that found Anthony Gordon unmarked, because Aaron Bissaka really slept in for a second and puts it in. Garnacho was supposed to track back, and as he was tracking back, he just went ahead to really stop at the center line, near the edge of the 18 box area. And he did the same thing when you're playing Copenhagen, and we considered the fourth goal, because instead of going to the box of Man United to mark that man and really prevent him from shooting at goal, he was at the edge of the 18 box area. So he did the same thing against Newcastle, and those are videos that Erik Ten Hag should show him and tell him that each and every time you track back, you have to go into the box. You have to run to that right back of the team like Trippier did, and he needs to obviously do that. But he's really a very good player and he's really having a very fantastic season. But I would love to see him tracking back to the last man, because it's because of Garnacho that cross comes in through. If Garnacho was really running at that man, he wouldn't have gone ahead to get all the space and the time to think about which type of cross to put in and really raise his eyes up to see the run or to read the run of Anthony Gordon like a book. Leading the line, Anton Martial started, but I would start Rasmus Hojlund in this game. Maybe later Anton Martial comes on. So that is my predicted starting 11 for the club of Man United, and I would love to think that if we line up like that, Chelsea cannot survive at Old Trafford. I know Chelsea has been a team that has always gone ahead to put in loads of energy when they are playing big teams, but trust me, if they come at Old Trafford and really come up with the right lineup, they cannot obviously find themselves into our position. We'll obviously beat them, right? We'll beat them hands down, and I really trust ourselves onto that. So Ten Hag just needs to name the right starting 11. If it means to bring in Facundo Pellistri, get Facundo in, because he'll track back and really close down that space. The same applies to Garnacho. He needs to track. If you cannot run, then you shouldn't be playing for the game. You shouldn't play any game for the club of Man United. Now let's go to the head-to-heads from Google. Number 1, Manchester United are unbeaten in their first 11 Premier League games against Chelsea. 4 wins, 7 draws since 1-0 away loss in November 2017. So we have a very good record against Chelsea in the Premier League. Secondly, Chelsea's last Premier League away win against Man United was in May 2013, at which point they had won more such games as a visitor at Old Trafford than any other side 6. Since then, they've drawn 6 and lost 4 of their last 10 visits. So it shows you that we've been obviously getting ourselves into the numerator parts, and Chelsea have always been the denominators, especially when affairs come to Old Trafford. Thirdly, Manchester United against Chelsea is the most drawn fixture in the Premier League history. 26 games, 19 of these have been score draws, a joint high with Arsenal versus Tottenham, while a 1-1 draw between these sides is the most common exact result in the competition, 14 times. So we're going to hit to draw with them 14 times. Fourthly, when meeting in midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Man United have won one of their 8 Premier League games against Chelsea, and though it was a 4-1 victory in this exact fixture last season. So that is all that, but I think history is there to be unwritten and then rewrite it again. Then the fifth one, Chelsea have won just one of their last 10 midweek games, that is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday Premier League games, 3 draws and 6 losses, losing 5 of their last 6 since a 2-0 win against Bournemouth last December. So Chelsea is really having a very bad spell each and every time they come at Old Trafford, and I think if Erik ten Hag gets this right, then we will obviously beat Chelsea, because it's also struggling. Chelsea is struggling, and they might really put Paul Colmer? What's his name? Let me read this name well. Cole Palmer into that midfield, and then Raheem Sterling will be facing Luke Shaw. Then Modric will be facing the side of Bissaka. Nicholas Jackson leading the line to face Harry Maguire and Lindelof, But the biggest concern is Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez. How are we going to neutralize them in that midfield and stop them from obviously getting to where they deserve to go in and really get us hurting? Because Enzo Fernandez scored a brace in their game against Brighton, and they come to Old Trafford when we need to win. Why do we need to win this game of football? We need to really extend our stretch to 27 points. And you beat Chelsea, who are really 19, 5 points away from you. You beat them, and that means you extend your lead to 8. And Chelsea are going to come in with a lot of energy, but I think we can edge them if at all we obviously kill off our chances and really defend better. And Andre Onana not making mistakes. So I'm going in for a 2-1 win for the club of Man United. That is against Chelsea at Old Trafford, because we tend to obviously beat these teams at Old Trafford, but away from home, we really look like we struggle. So that's what I had for you. Go into the comment section. Tell me your prediction. I've gone for a 2-1 win for the club of Man United at Old Trafford. That is Wednesday night. Hope you guys are really ready to let me know what your thoughts are about this. But some battles to enjoy: Modric versus Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw versus Sterling, then Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo versus Kobe Menu and Amrabat. Then Rasmus Hojlund versus the old man, that is Thiago Silva and Disasi, as Reece James is returning. He's going to be facing Garnacho. That is it. So I anticipate that we obviously go ahead and obviously get to that level. That's what I had for you here onto the United Matters channel. This is the third video of the day, and more videos are really coming in through onto this channel, and we pray to it that the Lord God gives us more and more energy to obviously keep bringing you these very many videos on a daily basis. I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. May the living to God bless you abundantly. I sign out for now. See you later. Bye bye.